Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, this is episode 991 out of who knows how many it's going to end up being. These videos will live forever. Just like the videos that we did in 2008 or 9 or 9, I think 9 when we started, are still out there.
They are, and we're much younger.
We are much younger than we were back then. We were very old back then. We were just getting younger. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is, in our countdown to our last 10 videos, we're just going to keep doing the same thing we've been doing. Nothing special.
Not that you thought we would do something different, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, what do we talk about? Real estate. So other stuff is not as fun as real estate. But I read an article, Juana read it, we talked about it a little bit. We thought we'd talk to you guys about it, get your take. Because what we're going to talk about, it's a home buyer article. I'll just read the title.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of go from there. Okay. First-time home buyers see now is good time to buy despite market uncertainty, TD Bank survey finds.
So the title of this would be something like, Market Uncertainty Has First-Time Home Buyers Terrified.
Or that market uncertainty... No, it would be home buyers surging into market before interest rates increase or something like that. Like it would be some...
That's not crashy enough.
That's not crashy enough.
Okay, so we need some help, guys. We need more crashy titles. So please feel free to put those in the comments because clearly we are not good at crashy titles.
You're not good at crashy titles, but even though yesterday's video did extremely well with a super crashy title.
Yes.
Okay. What was interesting about the article was it doesn't really support what it's saying. There's a lot of hesitation out there. So let's talk about, there's two things. There's what's really going on. Mm-hmm. And then there's what people believe in psychology. So people are driven through this behavior of copying other people's behaviors, listening to other people, gathering information. By far, most people are external decision makers.
So it's about perception, not reality.
Perception, yeah, okay. Sure, right? Because you could certainly find other times in history where real estate was challenging and ask people questions about what was going on and what they believed, and you would get much different responses.
Well, because people want to follow other people, so that way they don't necessarily, so that they can minimize the chance of them being wrong.
How important do you think that is? We're going to go through, we have some more stuff in here, but how important do you think that is for people not to be wrong, meaning because people will go into their retirement account or their like E-Trade accounts or their Coinbase, and they'll do these little risky things because they know if they screw it up, no one will know. But if you go buy a house, everyone's going to know. It's a big deal. Oh, you bought a house. And then you're going to have your friends call you and say, hey, that house you bought is worth blah, blah, blah now. Or, ooh, what kind of interest rate? Like you all of a sudden have people paying attention to if you're not super rich, your largest asset.
Okay,
so does that drive people? Do you think their motivation?
Well, so it does. I mean, you have your parents, your family members, your friends who are going to judge you based on these decisions that are very public, right? Mm-hmm. And certainly buying a house tends to be a very public decision and people want to be right. So it's not just about the money, but about how people will perceive their judgment.
So people are judgmental.
People are judgmental, but people are also afraid of being judged poorly.
Which you think is more powerful? That people are more afraid of being judged or that they're overly judgmental?
Well, I think fear guides a lot of people, actually.
Okay, so a lot of people are fear-based.
Yeah, I think so. But I think if you think about it, think about like your childhood. You were afraid of maybe getting bad grades or getting in trouble with your parents or getting in trouble with your teachers or your coach or whatever, whoever's in authority. Okay. So I think that there's... part of that is part of the way we're socialized.
Let's talk about this because this is real estate stuff. And I'm going to read this next thing because the article said, first-time home buyers see now is a good time to buy despite market uncertainty. Mm-hmm. That's pretty That's pretty much,
Right.
you know,
Well, I think that, I think everybody kind of gets to a point where they want to make these decisions. They want to get on with their lives. We talked about this before, that by springtime, remember I said this last fall, I said by springtime, people are going to say, the heck with it all, I'm going to get on with my life.
yeah. And they have been because they're buying.
Right.
There's certainly sales are up 40 or 50% compared to the fall. And those are the numbers we need to be looking at, not peak, not the hottest month ever that everyone's like, oh, we're going to use this 1 month as the baseline for normal, and then we're going to compare everything down to it, right? It's like you climb up the top of the mountain and you climb down. This is the interesting thing. After reading that article, almost, I think the very next sentence was, TD's first-time homebuyer pulse reveals that more than 1/3 of buyers planning to purchase a home in 2023 view now as a good time to buy. Despite economic conditions, rising rent costs, which we're going to talk about, may contribute to this growing interest. So the article said home buyers see it's a good time to buy, but now it's more than 1/3. So that means that there's a lot of people buying, but they don't necessarily think it's a good time to buy.
Right.
And why would they think it's a good time or not think it's a good time?
So I think there's a lot of economic uncertainty. I think that no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or looking to do nothing at all, probably more than 2/3 of Americans are concerned about the economy, which is, except for when the economy is rip-roaring, I think that speaks for probably a legitimate amount of people that are concerned about the economy. And that concern of the economy translates into people's lives through their decision making as far as making major purchases. I also think that the job market still is pretty stable. I mean, I know that there are layoffs out there, and I'm not deaf to that. But overall, the job market is really stable. We still have far more jobs than we have people to fill them. So I think that gives people that confidence that maybe this is a good time for them to buy. Speaking of you kind of sort of alluded to the rent. The rental prices are up for most of the country. So, if you are constantly seeing your rent go up every year, maybe you've kind of reached that point where you're saying, you know what, I'm ready to have one payment for a long period of time and not have this uncertainty of my rent going up, or the landlord wanting to sell the property and not renew my lease, or whatever's happening. So I think that's part of what plays into it. But lastly, like I said, it's springtime. This is when people make these sorts of decisions by and large, because this is when we see the most transactions. And like I said, in the fall, by springtime, people are going to say, the heck with it, I'm going to get on with my life and go headlong and buy a house.
Zillow did a rent report. They're a national one, and they do about this time every year. And in the 400 markets, year over year. Now remember, everyone was told a year ago, rents would collapse as all these homes flooded the market, and then there would be, you can go back and watch the videos. The videos exist. Just YouTube a video from any time in 2022 where it's talk about how rents will collapse. And you go through my comments and you'll find where people said rents are going to collapse. March to March, last year to this year, in 399 of the 400 markets that were measured by Zillow, 399 out of 400, they went up. Rents went up.
And where was the one market that went down, Todd?
We're not going to say. But it absolutely crashed 0.9%,
Yes.
0.9% from the year before. Now remember, but that market was one of the top 3 or 4 in the country for 2021 to 2022 increases.
Okay, so
we're not going to say the market. They're going to have to watch the video that we're going to do.
Okay, so put in the comments what market you think that is, because then on the next video, which you're going to hit the notification bell so you can get notified when the next video comes out, you're going to see if you're right. So put in the comments which market you think went down out of 400 markets. 399 went up, 1 went down. Which one was it?
Okay.
Can I give them a clue?
No, don't give them any clues.
What?
No clues. Give them one clue.
It's not California.
It's not in California. which you would think it would be. I'm sure somebody's, it's got to be New York or San Francisco. Okay.
You gave him 2 clues.
And this is why. Those markets got decimated after COVID.
Yes.
They're down. This is why perspective's everything. When we do these videos, we show you these charts. And then you get the people, the knuckleheads, they just focus on nothing existed before June or May of 2022. That's all, that's the birth of the whole real estate was invented that day, right? That's all they focus on. And then they go find the most ridiculous one thing that shows something that's not, But those markets got absolutely crushed. And rents in both those markets are still well below pre-pandemic, but they're up year over year.
Right.
Because they're just recovering. And then one of the markets that was one of the top 5 that went up 2021 to 2022 has backed off 0.9%, with which any pollster would tell you that's statistically insignificant because, there's too much noise in there. You can't really measure. Those small changes, it's just like when they say 4.3%, you don't, 4.3 or 4, it could have been 5, it could have been 3, right? Okay. Here's another thing. TD's first-time homebuyer pulse found that 54% of respondents indicate they are better off financially than they were 2 years ago, which is not, to me, it's not a big number. I would think more people, you would have a bigger number, right? But we've been through 2 recessions. We went through the recession of 2020, the COVID recession, and then last year we had the de facto recession, which was 2 quarters of negative growth, minus 0.1%, 2 quarters in it, even though the government changed. We're not going to call that a recession because we got an election coming up. And while buyers' perception of the economy and affordability continue to draw concern, rising rent may be driving home ownership interest. So let's talk about this because actually home buyers sentiment, people think it's a bad time to buy. If you ask people if it's a bad time to buy, and you looked at a chart of, since they've been asking people for like 30, 40 years, we're close to the bottom right now. Like, it's not a good time to buy. They think interest rates are too high. They think home prices are too high. They think there's too much uncertainty in the economy. But at the same time, you would think that that we would have inventory start to pile up because nobody would go out and buy.
But they are going out and buying. That's why we don't have any inventory. Plus, sellers are not bringing their homes on the market because they don't have anything to buy either. And they have these spectacular interest rates.
Okay. I'm going to put this next chart up. This next chart is the new home builder sentiment. This is, it takes into account how many people, they count how many people walk through the new homes. They count how many contracts have been written, how many homes they've sold. And then they ask them, how do you think it looks? Like, what do you foresee? Like, do you think it's going to be a good year? Do you think it's a bad year? Of course, in October, November, December last year, they thought it was going to be pretty bad. And all of a sudden they're thinking it's to be much better. 50 is the average, meaning if you step back and looked at the average of this, and you drew a line at 50, exactly half of these would be above and half would be below. On this chart, it's skewed because this is only showing 2021, which was the builders were like, we're doing great. We're selling stuff. We're raising prices. Everything's selling the day it comes on the market. This is like the best it's ever been. So it's never been better to be a new home builder, right? And then, so with this in mind, this sends a different signal because 45, if you had got rid of the numbers and I just said, hey, in 10 years from now, the home builders would say, it's about average, you wouldn't really know anything else was going on. Like, there'd be nothing maybe bad or maybe good. You wouldn't know anything.
That's true.
So how do you think that new home buyers, because we have people that are buying homes.
Right.
And these are not, like, none of these people have indicated they think it's a bad time to buy.
No,
they're
not at all.
very interested in buying.
They are.
They've made their own decisions about whether they should buy or not.
Yep. And there are new home subdivisions coming online. The interesting thing is you've got some luxury builders out there that are building spec homes. And these spec homes are, in the $2 to $7 million range. I know, pretty spectacular. So it's interesting out there. There are a lot of home buyers out there, and they're looking. And I've said this before. We have very little inventory, and the problem with that for the buyers is that what's out there is not the product that they want. It's not necessarily that it's a bad product, but it's just not the product that they want. or at least they haven't come across the product that they want. So that's a lot of the reason why any inventory exists at this point. It's not that we can't sell it exactly, it's that it just hasn't found the person who loves it, because not everything appeals to everybody.
Last thing before we wrap up the video, what about the people who have watched their rents go up 3 or 4 years in a row?
Mm-hmm. Well,
do you think, because in most markets right now, I'll just throw random numbers out there. Okay. Your rent is $2,000, but buying the house, your monthly payment would be $2,500 at current interest rates. Mm-hmm. And they're like, why would I pay $500 more? That makes no sense.
Right. So, it depends on everybody's situation. I think the issue with some people is that the house that they want is not on the market.
Okay.
Or that the house that they want is beyond their reach. It's not that they can't buy a house. They can't buy the house that they want.
Right. Guard-gated neighborhood, country club, on a golf course, with a pool, $2,000 a month payment.
Whatever that is for them. So I think that those are two challenges to overcome.
Right.
Because we do see that a lot, where it's like, well, I would buy a house if I could do this, but I can't do that, so I'm going to stay on the sidelines. Either I'm going to save up money, or I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down, or whatever it is, we'll go wait for Uncle Joe to die and inherit, or whatever it is for them. So I think that's part of what's happening out there.
Do you think that because the reason the rents are up in those markets like we talked about are because rental vacancies are at the lowest they've ever been?
They are
like
super
rental
low.
Vacancies.
They are super low.
Like we just gave the analogy. Tell them again about the house that was on the market.
Right.
That was not vacant for an hour.
Right. So rental vacancies are super low. Owner-occupied properties being vacant, that's super low too. The example that we gave a few videos back was a rental that I was dealing with, where I literally got the keys from the outgoing tenant at 1:30, and at 2:30 I handed over keys to the next tenant.
Yeah, who had never seen the house, just seen it online. But in this area, there were no other rentals that, when you look at the pictures, that are of the same quality.
Right.
And they were just like, I want the house.
Right.
And we probably could have charged more rent, but we need to get a tenant in there, right?
Right. So, there is a point of diminishing returns, because since I didn't lose rent on it, that was worth money to me. Oh. Because every day a property is not rented, that's rent that I'm never going to recover. So it was more worthwhile for me to rent it the same day than it was to get more money 30 days later. Because at the end of the year, I would have lost money.
Right. Do you think that rising rents is something pushing people to buy?
I think rising rents always push people to buy if they're of that mindset. If that's something that they've been contemplating anyway, then that's something that they will consider, because, again, people want stability, and one of the main, we know that somewhere between 30 and 40% of people's incomes is spent on housing, right?
Right.
So that's your single biggest expense. So if you can control your single biggest expense, your life gets a whole lot better. So if you can say, hey, from here on forward, my housing payment is going to be X number of dollars a month, and it's not ever going up until I move from this house, that is very valuable. And that's even, tax incentives aside, appreciation aside, just stability. Stability is valuable.
This is my final take, and then you can give your final take and close out the video. Okay. The actual number of people who are buying, okay, who said it was a good time to buy. These are people who are actually buying. So they're saying, yeah, I'm buying this year. 37%. It was over a third. It was 37%. 37% said they thought it was a good time to buy. So that means that 63% do not think it's a good time to buy, but they're buying anyway. So this is my sort of overall take. We have the inventory going to the lowest levels we've ever seen. We have 39, I think, consecutive weeks of declining inventory. Houses are still flying on the market, off the market. We've had 3 months nationally and in Vegas, home price appreciation, January, February, March, March to April. This will be the third month. All the indicators show it's going to be higher. And it's only 37% think it's going to be a good time to buy. Regardless of what interest rates, the economy, whatever happens, at some point within the next 2 years, I predict that number will go up because we will get through the recession. We will get through the interest rate, whatever. We will get through this inflation. And people will be like, okay, now it's a good time to buy again. And when more people come in, like, look, if we have home prices appreciating with 37% people saying it's a good time to buy and 63% or 63% saying it's not that great of a time to buy, then I can't imagine what it's going to look like when 60 or 70% of the people say it's a good time to buy. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And that's why I think people, that are buying today, and I'm not saying you should buy today, right? We've been trying to buy. We've been trying to buy rental houses. We've been trying to buy second homes. Like we have been trying to buy because there's deals out there. There are some deals out there. There's no, the house we want isn't available, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine what it's going to look like when we get back to a high number of people. I think we're going to get a repeat of what we had the last couple of years, and then you can finish it off.
So that's a possibility. And I've said that before, that when we get to a point where people realize that, again, they're going to catch the last train before everybody else jumps on, I think that's going to be the beginning. And by the time that starts, the people who have been on the sidelines waiting, they will have missed that train. Because the people who are looking now and who are buying now, I think are in a better position. And I'm not saying you should buy now, but I'm just saying they are in a better position because you have less competition. Not that there aren't multiple offers out there, because there are. There are multiple offers out there, but not as many as I think we're going to see, because I think we're going to turn the corner on interest rates and have more people jump into the market before we have more sellers jump into the market. It's just a matter of timing, and I think that's what's going to happen. And it's just going to be this self-feeding thing where you're going to have more buyers than sellers, kind of what we have now, but it's just going to get exacerbated as interest rates come down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. As Todd likes to say, generally the best time to buy houses are in the fall and winter. We'll see what happens this year. I think this year is going to be kind of a funny thing going on between the witching hour of 18 months from the start of interest rates going up, inflation. By the time we get into fall, we're going to be a year away from elections. So there's going to be this whole thing going on in the fall. So it promises to be a very exciting time in the U.S. for real estate, politics, and everything else. So hopefully we'll still be doing videos and chatting with you guys. Let us know what you think about the video. Please give us some negative titles in the comments. We need some ideas, because we're not geared toward negative things.
Yeah.
So we have a hard time with that. And somebody gave us some good ideas for negative titles, and we use them. So thank you.
I used it in a video that I did the day before.
Yes.
And I'll have to go back and see if it caused a bump in people looking at it.
But
I literally put that in the title.
There you go.
It was like a 2-day-old video. So
yeah. So we appreciate all of your suggestions, all of your comments. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell, because, like Todd said, we're marching toward our 1,000th video. So you want to get notified when we get there. And you also want to get notified for the next video to make sure that you were right about which rental market is down.
Yep.
Please like the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.